Welcome to Space Erased, the NASA Fraudcast. I'm your host, Chris, and welcome back, everybody. This is going to be called episode 115, the Moon Hoax, part 3. So this will be the third installment in our multi-part Moon Hoax series. Very excited about this one. This one should be another fun episode. I'm hoping you guys are all doing well. I'm doing great this week. Things have been chilled out around here, so that's all good. Without further ado, let's hop straight into the news. All right, this week's news story here. NASA to host large teleconference to notify the public of Kepler satellite's newest discoveries. On May 10th, 2016, NASA will host a press conference to talk about Kepler's newest findings. Kepler is a space observatory launched on March 7th, 2009. It's a satellite. Its mission is to find Earth-sized planets orbiting other stars much like our own sun. It's looking for quote-unquote habitable zones and Earth-sized exoplanets in a specific portion of the Milky Way galaxy. So it's got, a very finite scope, and it's looking right there for planets that are like ours, possibly to... It's like that movie Interstellar to send, astronauts to see if they're safe to start our own planet again there. Let's see. Kepler's only scientific instrument is called a photometer, which continuously monitors the brightness of over 145,000 stars. It's quite a few. NASA uses this satellite to look for periods of time where the light of a specific star fades, as they assume that is, it's a planet passing in front of said star. So, you have a bright light that you're staring at. I'll go ahead and turn these tunes down a little bit. You have a bright light that you're staring at, which would be a sun or a star in another area of space. And it gets dim for a moment and then goes back to being bright again. They would assume that a planet just passed in front of it. So that's the theory, anyways. Let's see here. That would show them where possible planets are located. This satellite was only supposed to last about 3.5 years, and it's lasted about 7 years now, so that's pretty good. July 14th, 2012 was the first major problem with the satellite. One of its 4 reaction wheels failed. The reaction wheels, as far as I understand it, if Wikipedia serves me right, they're wheels that allow the satellite to adjust its orientation in space. So it allows it to move and bob and weave a little bit and reposition itself. So the first of 4 failed July 14th. On May 11th, 2013, so a year later, the second failure, second wheel went out. And then August 15th, 2013, NASA just gave up trying to fix the things. Or fix the 2 disabled wheels. They repurposed the satellite on a new mission to find habitable planets around smaller red dwarfs. So, let's take a look at this. So on May 10th here, this year, 2016, that's 5 days away from the time I'm filming this now, so maybe 3 days from the time you guys see it. NASA's coming out to tell the world that Kepler just found something amazing. It's a satellite that looks for planets that are like Earth. What do you think they found? So, the big news could be, in my mind, one of 2 things. It's either we found an Earth-like planet, and hey, guess what? It's close enough that it's even feasible to start talking about possibly going that direction. Or we found ETs, I think it's possible. I just... I don't think they would ever tell us the truth about that type of thing, but I think if they did decide to, having NASA be the vehicle to say, yeah, no, we found extraterrestrial life, then, it would let it enter the scientific vein, and then people could ingest it. The general population could ingest it a little bit easier instead of jumping into panic and looting the the city they live in. So anyways, Kepler satellite findings coming up May 10th. Definitely something to keep an eye out for. That should be interesting news. Let's hop into the core content for tonight's episode. This is, again, episode 115, The Moon Hoax Part 3. In case you missed it, on Wednesday, May 4th, 2016, just yesterday my time, Buzz Aldrin joined Stephen Colbert as a guest on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Buzz came on the show to promote his newest book called No Dream is Too High, Life's Lessons from a Man Who Walked on the Moon. Now, Buzz starts off the interview fidgeting around quite a bit. He appears, quite honestly, to be drunk. And now, I don't know if I've mentioned this in past programs. There's something that you guys definitely got to look up. It's called Buzzed Aldrin. Buzz with an ED at the end. Buzzed Aldrin, like drunk. It's hilarious. This guy is a complete wasted shitbag most of the time. He's on television. He's on stage at like colleges, universities, giving lectures and stuff about his time on the moon. And it's so painfully obvious that this guy is just loaded drunk. And somehow they let him on like national television. They let him on CBS that way, which is crazy to me. So I don't know. We'll get into that in a moment here. If Stephen Colbert noticed it, I would imagine he had to, or the crew. But anyways, so Stephen wants to quell a quote-unquote ridiculous rumor right at the beginning of this interview. He starts the interview by asking, quote, the moon landing has not been faked. Or the moon landing was not faked, true? Which is a weird way to ask the question, if you ask me. I don't know. Maybe it was just he was excited in the moment or something like that. Buzz Aldrin responds, and then he drunkenly slurs, that's correct. The moon landing happened exactly the way the whole world saw it. Again, specifically picked words. I guess we could pick those words apart later in at a different time, but I'll let you guys mull on that for a little bit, and I'll have the link here to that video as well in the description. So, the moon landing was not fake, true? That's correct. The moon landing happened the exact way the whole world saw it. Now, Stephen awkwardly chimes in saying, see, everybody? There's no reason to ever say that again. And look at his pauses and stuff. I mean, Stephen's a seasoned commentator, or like host of a program. He knows how to talk, and he knows how to be on camera. Unlike myself, I'm stuttering all over the place today. It's weird to watch him make these little gaffes on TV like that. So I don't know. This whole thing seems a little odd. And just like the Scott Kelly interview that he did a few months back, we covered that as well. It's odd. I don't know. It's just, like the way he talks and everything about any time they deal with these NASA guys, it just seems a little bit off to me. So, and then, he says, okay, and there, see, everybody, there's no reason to ever say that again, quote, and there are no more secrets to be exposed about the moon, which is the lead-in to the skit called Moon Scoops that he does with Buzz Aldrin. Aldrin drunkenly slurs, there's plenty of things people don't know about the moon missions. At this point, Aldrin can hardly read. They've got cue cards up that give them their lines. They're not just making this stuff up on the spot. He can hardly read because of the serious quote, like buzz he's sporting there. And then he nearly flubs the line that introduces the segment. The skit opens with Buzz taking too long of a pause. That's something you notice right away. It seems like a bumpy start to the flight there. He says a joke about peeing his pants on the moon. Very classy. And then after the second joke, Buzz accidentally reads Steven's line, moon scoops. Like Steven's supposed to pop up in the background and go, moon scoops, and everybody laughs. But Buzz reads his line by accident, which is hilarious. The guy's like not paying attention to the cue cards. I would, you can't hate on somebody that's not like a television presenter for making mistakes, but this is mistake, I think 7 now or something like that so far. Later on in the segment, Aldrin talks about Alan Shepard hitting a golf ball on the moon. This is hilarious. He is so drunk by this. I mean, like he is so far gone by this point here. I think the booze is finally like settling in. It's been kind of escalating throughout the whole time here. I mean, this thing's 4.5 minutes long too. You're watching something very quickly take place. But he can hardly say this Alan Shepard line. He's like, Alan Shepard had a golf ball. And it's just like, dude, this is ridiculous. How did the production crew, directors, producers, all these people, how did nobody notice this and like give this guy, the shepherd's crook to pull him off stage? I don't know. It's very, very interesting to me. So, anyways, as you continue watching throughout the skit, he's swaying back and forth in that like drunken kind of like, you can't sit still with your, you can't hold yourself together kind of thing. And he's got these like just bombed out facial expressions that one only gets when one is so hammered that they're just straight up on autopilot. Just so in his bit about our flag being on the moon, he slurs the word flag. He says like flag and whatever. I don't know. I mean, it's just another example of 50 in that whole 4 minute and 20-second spans of just buzzed Aldrin. So my synopsis on this whole thing is, Buzz is sold at this point to the American people as just like a lighthearted old goofy man. But in reality, he's a barely functioning alcoholic Freemason hiding an incredible secret. And I believe that very, very much to be true. Few people know that the man's life went totally to hell after the moon missions. He took part in, he took part in the moon missions, and I think that might have either just been like the highlight of his life, or he became privy to something around that time that destroyed his life. So he went through multiple divorces after the moon missions. He had a litany of personal and family-related issues. He battled substance abuse, I guess booze specifically. I firmly believe Buzz knows the truth, but he can't tell a soul, or, he can't tell regular people. And I think there's a burden on him. There was a burden on Neil Armstrong, I think. You could tell just in the way they talk. Neil seemed like a guy that wanted to tell people. Buzz, I think, is just kind of more or less trapped in this secret that I don't think he wants to tell people anymore. I think he just wants out. The guy probably just wants to peace out off our planet Earth here, because I think he's just probably done with everything. That's probably why he's just resigned himself to getting just plastered every day. But anyways, I'm sure the reason he can't tell anybody is because his pension is tied up in this, so they'll cut his money off if he talks. The lives of his loved ones are potentially at stake if he does talk. Since he's this old and still sticking to the story, it's likely he'll never tell the American people the truth. After all, Freemasons, which he is definitely a part of, that's a band of brothers, maybe, not speaking, I guess, specifically men or whatever, but it's a group of people that can keep a secret. You're inducted into that group if you can keep a secret. And, it's difficult to get to the degree that he is at, his level or rank in the Masons. As I understand, he's a 33rd degree Freemason, which is like the tip top. Those are the guys that are definitely privy to what's really going on this planet. So Freemasons keep the best secrets. He's a Freemason. He's going to go to his grave with this information that we all want to desperately know. So the side question here is, how in the hell did Stephen Colbert not notice his guest was just completely plowed during the filming of this thing? Throughout the whole taping of the show, Buzz is basically out of control. It looks like they just, scooped him up at the last second and got him on stage there and able to pull off his lines. Stephen, to me, I like him as an entertainer. I think he's a funny guy. But after watching the Scott Kelly interview and after watching this interview, both have something weird going on. With Scott Kelly, it seemed like it wasn't a real interview. It seemed like the questions were all pre-written, and Stephen was just asking them to a TV screen, and that, the answers were all, cut to fit. Like Scott Kelly just answered the questions all at one time. They cut them all up. Stephen would ask the question, then they'd play the corresponding answer. That's what it seemed like to me. So I think, in order to get that gig, he's got probably one of the most highly sought after jobs as far as a comedian's concerned or an entertainer's concerned. It's a late night show, and he's got that gig for like the next 50 years. That's a good spot, and I think you get there by basically selling your soul and becoming like a corporate shill for the networks. He's been involved with at least 2 extremely phony interviews at this point. That, he dismissed as being totally normal. I just think that it's interesting why he didn't poke a joke. That rhymes. But why he didn't make a joke about Buzz acting all buzzed, or about just like the awkwardness of the answers of Kelly's questions, just like he would any other guest. What makes NASA astronauts so special? Yeah, I mean, I guess they walked on the moon, but that's only as far as the American people know. I don't know. To me, and I know you guys, I got to imagine most of you don't believe that these guys walked on the moon. I don't think we've ever been to the moon. I don't think we've even left low Earth orbit, if there is such a thing. And actually, this week, you guys have done an awesome job of sending in a ton of material. One dude sent me a video showing that, I think it was like Crow777 did a video recently of the top of like the firmament, if you're familiar with like the flat Earth theories. But like basically like the tip top of our atmosphere is the bottom, or, it's like a bowl. It's like a clear glass dish over the top of the world, or over the flat Earth. And supposedly above that, it's water or liquid, just like the biblical passage, the water's above, so as the water's below. It's interesting. I just, like now I'm debating whether or not we've even gone to space at all. I mentioned that in the last episode. I don't even know if space is real. I don't know what stars are. They could be twinkling spotlights, Truman Show style, but I don't know. Anyways, let's move on. The next part of my moon hoax thing here is actually like real specific moon hoax evidence. This all comes from another viewer submitted documentary. I'll have to find the viewer's name later and credit them, but he recommended we watch this video. It was to me and Rachel when we were doing an episode on something else. He said, look at James Collier's what's the name of the documentary here? Whoops, I think I skipped a page in my notes. Moving backwards here. Oh, yep. It's called, it's by James Collier, and it's called Was It Only a Paper Moon? Collier takes it upon himself to do some research. It's almost like he's doing this whole video like to a friend or a person he knows. He keeps addressing this person throughout the whole documentary, saying, see, this is not like that. You told me it was like this, but it's actually like this. So it's kind of interesting. It feels kind of personal the way he talks. But he takes it upon himself to do some research on his own to determine the validity of the moon landing story. For the sake of time, I will just boil down some of the highlights, and I definitely highly recommend this documentary to all of you. It's called Was It Only a Paper Moon? On YouTube for free. You can check it out right now. The fact hole in the boat with this whole moon landing story is the L.E.M, the L.E.M, which stands for Lunar Excursion Module. It's the gold thing that landed on the moon, right? So Collier examines the blueprints of the module, and I don't know how he got them, but I'd love to get some myself, and is left with many questions without facts, or about facts, rather, that don't line up. The rocket at the base of the L.E.M has, it's a 10,000-pound thrust engine at the bottom of the thing that's designed to allow it to land, safely and carefully on the surface of the moon. He's asking what scientific principle would keep this module from spinning and pointing toward the ground and just totally wiping out. It was only tested one time, this lunar excursion module. That base really is what you're looking at there, is the part with the thruster on it, and then the top part takes off later. And so basically the landing gear was something that was tested once. And the man that tested it almost died. His name was Neil Armstrong. He actually, there's video of it you can find online, but he tested the lunar module engine and was piloting it himself. At the last second, the thing goes crazy haywire, and he shoots out with an ejection seat and parachutes to safety. But, there's even rumors that Neil Armstrong got pretty pissed off publicly about that NASA almost killed him. And I'm sure, just like Ed White, he was probably making a pretty big stink around the office there. But probably not too big of a stink, because they didn't wipe him out in the in the command module of the rocket. Not a laughing matter, my apologies. Anyways, the rocket at the base of the L.E.M is really powerful thruster, and it looks like it would just tip, the rocket or the whole module on its front and, hit the ground, basically. What keeps it shooting upright or in any direction, as opposed to, going wildly out of control. There are little side boosters, but they weren't used apparently while landing. Those were only to orient itself in space, apparently, to get it to line up with the other module to dock with the command module. But anyways, okay, so number 2, getting in and out of the LEM, the door opened inward. So it would be basically impossible to get out if you start looking at the size of the astronauts. Basically, we all heard the story. We've all seen the videos, of the moon landings and things like that. But what you're seeing is not... This guy basically proves that what you're seeing in those documentaries is not what is actually being represented by the blueprints and by the L.E.M. on display at these different museums and things like that. There's, a full rocket, Saturn V at the Kennedy Space Center. I've seen that. So there are remnants of these things around, but they don't match up with the story. And they don't let you get close enough to measure them, which is kind of interesting. So he goes to Houston Space Center, and he talks with Frank Hughes, who's one of the few remaining people left in the Apollo mission. So he was one of the Apollo mission specialists back in the day, and he's one of the few guys left, apparently, that survived all that. I guess age is getting to many of these guys. But they basically say that his word is gospel. As far as if he says it, it's real. So, this gentleman goes in there and questions him quite a bit and gets some more information. There are bars in the blueprints that aren't in the module on display. And again, these bars go across the LEM. This is kind of a boring point because I don't have a visual bit to back it up. But, it's an element that wasn't in the blueprints that would prevent a man in a large spacesuit with a backpack to move through. Just can't do it. Number 4, panel measurements are off. It makes the inside cubic space even smaller, which again, these guys, you'd have a hard time fitting one man with an astronaut spacesuit in this thing, let alone 2 full-grown men with 2 huge-ass suits that have 4.5 pounds of pressure per square inch on the inside to give them, their atmospheric pressure or whatever that, gives you the dexterity of a toddler. It makes it very difficult to move around. It just doesn't make sense. Number 5, the hatch that connects the command module to the LEM, which you'd have to crawl through to get into the command module to go back home, it's way too small. He said it measures about 27 inches, which a guy could fit through apparently with a suit, because if you didn't have the camera mounted, that takes some inches off, so you're less than like 3 feet wide. But I think it's about 3 feet wide with the camera mounted. So 27 inches, but when you actually look at the lunar module, there's some instruments and crap on the inside there, some gearboxes and whatever, that reduces it again by another 3-4 inches. So now you're looking at like 23-24 inches of space. Now it's too tight for a man in an astronaut outfit, or a spacesuit rather. It would rip the fabric, and and he would decompress. There's just no way he could fit through there. It's also so small that 2 men in suits wouldn't be able to move inside the thing, let alone get down on their hands and knees and crawl out the hatch. Number 7, the bell of the booster isn't in the display, and with it inside the lunar module, there's no way 2 men could even fit in there. So, they take that thing out, and and you look at inside the windows at like the Smithsonian or something like that, and yeah, it looks big enough for 2 guys to get in. But they're missing a gigantic component of it, and that's that rocket booster. Number 8, they were supposed to have gotten out by crawling out, and like I said before, there's no way, not enough room. Plus, with the dexterity and with your ability to move with 4 pounds of pressure all over your body, basically in a big rubber balloon, there's no way they could maneuver themselves. In fact, the interesting thing is, let me see if I'm blowing a point later on, but no, we'll get to that in a second here. Like suits were inflated like rubber balls. They're very hard to move. And with the camera attached, they would not have fit in the LEM at all. So that's a big point. Again, with their story, their real official story should include something about them putting that thing on outside, because there's no way in hell they would have fit inside the LEM with the camera mounted. Number 11, Collier takes a tape measure to the Washington NASA exhibit, and he gets in a cherry picker to examine the LEM that's on display there. First of all, the museum curator named Alan Adell, freaks out. He said, on the phone, yeah, sure, you can take a cherry picker and look at this thing, but I think as soon as he saw how serious his questions were when he got there finally, all of a sudden he's saying, nah, you can't use that cherry picker, which basically means, we're not going to let you get close enough to even measure this thing. You can look at it from afar like everybody else and make your own decision off of that. What are they afraid of? If the official story is the official story and this thing is, exactly like the one that went to space, who cares? Let them take a look at it. Let them measure it. How are you going to blow a hole through a story that's totally true through and through? That shows guilt, It shows that there's something going on there. Okay, so number 12. This is what I wanted to get to before. There is no official manual that tells you how an astronaut is to exit the L.E.M. or the L.E.M module. Think about this. This is back in the day, back in the late 60s. This is millions and billions of dollars have been spent on the space program at this point. Hundreds of thousands of people involved in the making of this rocket and the training of these astronauts and everything that had to do with this massive plan. And they, you would imagine that they had planned out to the second, because time is money, and they've only got a limited amount of resources like fuel and things like that and oxygen to stay down on the surface of the moon. So every single step and movement of these guys had to be choreographed ahead of time down to the second. And basically this gentleman found out that they have no plan for how to get out of the module, which is crazy. I mean, everything should be planned out. It should be like a dance, and they should be just following the steps. So the thing that really made it interesting was that he made a trip to Boeing, and they confirmed that all of their documentation was destroyed, which is, by the sounds of it, the same thing with the Washington exhibit, with the Houston location. All these places, all of their footage, all of their documentation, everything has been destroyed or lost, which is crazy. That's why we named our show Space Erased. That's part of where the name comes from, is that literally everything having to do with the moon landing is gone. So we erased the biggest part of American history, the thing that everybody claims, is the greatest achievement of Americans. We don't have a single shred of evidence other than the leftover gear and things like that, which don't even match up. Look at Reboot the Suit, the Neil Armstrong project, where they found his suit and they want to rebuild it because I guess parts of it are deteriorating over time. Even Adam Savage from the Mythbusters has mentioned Reboot the Suit. It's a Kickstarter campaign. If you look at the suit and they zoom in on the boots, you'll notice something pretty strange. Think about the iconic footprint in the soil on the moon, in the regolith or whatever, the dirt on the moon. Think about the little Buzz Lightyear footprint that he leaves with the little lines going through there and all that stuff. The boots on the Reboot the Suit Neil Armstrong suit are totally flat bottom boots. They don't look like they'd be good for even like hiking anyways. They're flat bottom. They look like military style boots. It's such an obvious hoax, and I don't know how people that are like serious fans of NASA, when I was just a nerd, I would have caught that. I just used to be a NASA nerd. I just used to like this stuff and I would have caught that. I'm positive of it. But now somebody's caught it, and it's a big hole in the story, in the official story. Another point here is the lunar rover, or the last point rather, the lunar rover could not have possibly fit. So another part of his documentary is he goes in explaining the different ways they could have folded the rover, putting the wheels, folding it up into a square, folding it into a rectangle with the wheels in front and on the sides. Every which way you make that rover, it's like 8 feet long, 9 feet long, and NASA only had enough room to fit a 5-foot rover, which is impossible because they took an 8-foot one up. So they've done the math, and by the looks of it, the Saturn V rocket would have had to be increased by 3 feet to fit the rover. So again, this is just like they added it to the story late in the game. They figured everybody else was preoccupied with whatever was going on with the story and the emotional music swelling up and all this stuff, that nobody would notice the simple measurements, but math doesn't lie. So the moral of this story, with the L.E.M. and with the lunar module and with the moon hoax here, his math doesn't lie. And you don't need shadows on rocks and flags moving in the wind and shit like that to prove it. the simple math of just measuring the crafts and measuring the astronauts in their spacesuits and things like that just proved or beyond a shadow of a doubt that there's no way these guys could have fit between the modules in the tunnel between the command module and the L.E.M. There's no way that they could have gotten outside the door to get out and explore the moon in the first place. This thing is a hoax. Let's put a bow on the package and let's just put it behind us. Or let's get everybody and their mother involved in demanding the truth out of NASA, because this is bullshit. It's the moral of every episode, I feel like, but we're called the Fraudcast, so we're pointing out fraud. This is NASA telling us they're taking our money. They're telling us they're doing one thing with us or with it. They're showing us funny little or cool, pretty videos of the Earth and the moon and all this stuff. And that's all we're getting is a movie for billions and billions and trillions of dollars is basically a film and some artwork. I don't know how to feel about that. Anyways, without taking up too much time here, I'm going a little bit over time, but let's go into Q&A. Let's see that sweet Q&A graphic. All right, I'm excited. We got some good questions this week. Or some good comments, rather. Daryl Patton says, "You're on the right track, man." And I said, thanks. He said, watch Brian Mullins' videos. They are super good. I'll have to check that out. Brian Mullins. We'll add that to the list. Me and Rachel actually have been looking for some really cool stuff. Lately here. So that will be a good one to check out. Del Bednati, our dude. I haven't seen this guy in a minute. He said, "Congrats to both of you. Great show again. Avid Skywatcher Crow77 made a startling announcement recently." That was that. Okay, so it was Del I got to thank for that. That was the water firmament video, and I got to watch it again here more carefully to see what's going on with that. But that looks like some cool content. Check out the link. He left it in the in the comment there. Thank you so much for the comment, Del, and good seeing you again, man. Next one comes from Gimp NASA. That's kind of a cool name. Congratulations. That's probably about the engagement there. If you guys didn't check out the last video here, me and Rachel, my co-host, got engaged over a cruise here a couple weeks ago. Very, very happy that everything went well like that. And don't have a date set, but we're both in love with each other, and we're both super happy about the way things are going. So when that happens, we'll let you know, and we'll even invite you guys to the wedding or something. Who knows? or make a podcast about it. He says, "Congratulations. You should have the wedding first, you should have the first wedding in space, a fake wedding and fake space. I would watch. If you need help with it, let me know. It could be pretty funny, or it could be pretty fun and funny. Keep going, or keep on keeping on." Man, I cannot talk right now. Thank you so much for the comment, Gimp NASA. That's some good stuff. Beats by Payday Monsanto. Okay, you just won for best tag ever, best best name. "Sometimes I cringe thinking about a Trump RFK ambassador moment. His nationalistic tone has ruffled some yiddling feathers." I'm not quite sure what that means. I can definitely tell you that if Trump is real and he's talking that way and he's not involved with the elites and stuff, yeah, I think we're looking at a period of months here, weeks, before somebody knocks him out. I think we're definitely looking at a Robert Kennedy type situation or a John F. Kennedy type situation. Thank you for the comment. Beats by Payday Monsanto. Fantastic username again. Let's see here. Next comment comes from Daryl Patton. He's got another comment. You get two this time. Here, rockets can't move in a vacuum. I was asking for cool links, and he's tossed up a couple here. So this is a video. I think this is the one where it said, like, nerd accidentally proves rockets don't work in space and that NASA is totally full of shit. Fantastic stuff. Highly recommend checking it out. The link's in the comment right there. Thank you again, Daryl. Very good stuff. You guys are kicking ass this week. Kyla Krumpira. I'm totally butchering your name. I apologize. Congratulations, and have a best possible life in this crazy-ass world. I agree with you, and we will definitely try. Thank you so much for the well wishes there. Alfie Noakes, and I'm butchering your name too. Nice Tom Cruise picture there. It says, "How can NASA even say they want to do anything with the atmosphere on Mars when they said it only has 1% of Earth's atmosphere? NASA might as well show us this trick with the moon, as they said it too might also have a partial atmosphere and it would be a lot easier to get to and from. I agree entirely. We are on the same page so far. How can Mars even have a sky of any color for people who can spell? This guy must be from across the pond, if you will, when it has virtually no atmosphere. How can it have raging sandstorms over 200 miles per hour, quote unquote, with a thin atmosphere? Fantastic point. Nobody's pointing that out. That's really good. I like that. How can it how can the rovers that used parachutes to land safely when the atmosphere is so thin? The parachutes would have had to be as big as 10 football fields, my guess, to get any kind of drag from the few molecules that might still be hanging about. I could go on, but I get into a terrible rage when I think about these fecking liars who steal money from hard surfing Americans. Yeah, we're pretty much full serfdom on this side here, so at least somebody from outside the country is feeling our pain. Congrats on the engagement, and glad to see you back. Hail and hearty. Cheers. Cheers to you as well, sir. Thank you so much for the comment. That's some great stuff. Again, the Mars thing is totally bullshit. The moon thing is bullshit. When are people going to wake up and see this stuff? And it takes people like us to get that out there. Gunt Pulp says the notion of Trump being somehow anti-establishment and not absolutely controlled or a controlled puppet is laughable. I cannot talk, man. I'm sorry. You do not get where Trump is or the amount of media coverage he gets unless you are in lockstep with the Jesuit-controlled, high-level Freemasonic controllers of society, period. Anybody who says any different is either extremely naive and hasn't researched politics, or they are paid to say so. Man, I don't know if it's like the optimist in me or something like that, but I hope Trump's the real deal. I'm not going to be a Trump supporter or a Hillary supporter or anything, but out of the two, the guy that's saying that he's not interested in globalism and all that kind of stuff in his last speech there, that's the guy I want to support. You know, she's going to do nothing but just like totally perpetuate the Masonic agenda, and she's in the pocket of Goldman Sachs and all this stuff. Shit, he might be too, for all I know, but from everything I see and the fact that he's so hated by everybody, that's kind of an indicator that he might be a good guy. I don't know, but I'd love to hear what you guys think on all that. Eddie Russett says, I think his dad was rich when Donald was born. Maybe he had enough of the lying and has a heart and cares. We will see and find out. I won't be surprised if he does get shot. A lot of people are dying so far. Tupac's mom died, etc. He's getting old. Maybe it's his time to go. He looks sad at the end of his speech. Oof, that's no good. And I didn't know Tupac's mom died. That's crazy. Somebody send me a link. I want to see what's going on there. Let's see. Next comment. Hey, Mark Sargent. How's it going, man? This guy is like the man. This guy is like the leader of the Flat Earth movement, and he's on our humble channel. I always feel so humbled every time he comes by. Great work. Was hoping you would return. Should be an interesting rest of the year. Rest of the year? What do you know that I don't know, Mark? Man, pass me a link. I want to see what's going on. I've been like going crazy over these world are ending. Like Jason A is a channel that I've been watching a shit ton of. It's like every video, and then they like cut up like news anchors and stuff talking about like crazy stories of birds falling out of the air and crazy storms and stuff happening that are just like biblical end of the world shit. Maybe that's what Mark's talking about. I don't know. Send me links, guys. I want to see some cool stuff. I'm dying to see some bitchin' YouTube videos. Thanks again, Mark, for your comment. Jason Mosley, dude. Another one of our homeboys. Welcome back and congrats. Now get back to work, LMAO. Dude, thanks. I said thanks. Yes, sir. Dude, thanks, Jason. Good seeing you again. Glad that everybody's coming back. I felt like we'd lose all the viewers here once we took that long hiatus. Stefan Nikolov says, happy to see you back. Great channel about flat earth documentaries. By my opinion, the best one is, and then he puts a link down. I looked at that link too. I can't remember which one that is just off the top of my head, but I remember that was good as well. So check that one out, guys. Definitely worth a watch. I got 2 left. Steve MT says, number 1, happy for you guys. Number 2, consider all of the attacks as a badge of honor. If you weren't saying something or saying anything important, they wouldn't be going after you. You know what? That makes me feel a little better, man. I appreciate that. Number 3, there will be no manned mission to Mars because there have been no manned moon missions. I agree with you entirely, sir. Number 4, Devon Island is Mars. Mars is Devon Island. I agree with you there as well. Number 5, all NASA pictures are fake. I totally agree with you there. Number 6, NASA pilfers money from the government or pilfers money for the government. Yeah, I guess I would agree with that too. So they're just like, maybe that's what we'll figure this out as we go. That's why we started the channel. I don't have all the answers, but I'm looking for them. Maybe NASA is just like a money conduit, a money earning conduit rather, that just brings revenue into the black budget or into just the regular above board budget. Who knows? But they're definitely not doing what they say they're doing. And Daryl gets a third mention in the Q&A section here. I'm sorry to tell you, but nothing has been into space. The stars and planets even look like they are in water, like the waters above from the waters below, and there is a person talking about going to the bottom of the sea and seeing a lake at the bottom of it. And also look at amateur rocket launches. They look like they go into the water. Yeah, we've talked about a lot of that stuff. And actually, he brings up a really good point, and I asked him where that footage is from. But I saw a documentary one time where this guy goes down in a submarine, and he gets all the way down to the bottom of this ocean, and he comes to a lake at the bottom of the ocean. It sounds like something out of like a Jules Verne science fiction book or something like that. But he comes to a lake at the bottom of the ocean, and he like tries to go down deeper in it, and it just won't let him. Like the surface tension is too thick or something. It just won't let him go, which is crazy. So like, there are some incredibly interesting things going on this planet that are not being talked about, and that is definitely one of them. So I asked, if you know where that footage is from, please send it to me. That's for the rest of you guys too. If you know where that came from, I think I saw it as a part of something else. If you know where it came from, give me the link, and I will thank you profusely forever, and we'll give you a mention on the show, an honorable mention. Anyways, guys, that's it for Q&A. I definitely would love to see you guys all over at the Facebook page. We're really trying to push out a lot of episodes, and I would love to hear what you guys think. I would love to get some different submissions from you guys. If you have ideas for episodes, please let us know. I want to start, branching off into some different categories. It doesn't have to be necessarily space related, so let us know. That's Facebook, and our page is called Space Erased, the NASA Fraudcast on Facebook. Please find us there and join the community there, man. We're getting conversations started. Again, when we have a blackout, when we don't show up on the internet for a long time on YouTube, go to Facebook. That's where you'll find out what's going on. The people that were on Facebook were never left out of the loop. We'd love to see you guys there. A good, strong Facebook presence will make us a force to be reckoned with, and we'd like to do that. Check us out on, or please, with the YouTube video here. If you want to help and you don't want to donate money, which, can't blame you for that, the easiest thing you could do that would be a huge help to us is hit the like button at the bottom of the video here. That'd be a huge help. Thumbs up would be much appreciated. And then hit subscribe. If you haven't subscribed already, you'll be the first ones to see the video when it comes out. All the new content and things like that you'll be privy to right as it happens. So it's a fantastic way to keep up with the channel here. So that's NASA Fraudcast, or the NASA Fraudcast channel is the name of our channel on YouTube. And what am I missing here? Oh, our email, nasafraudcast@gmail.com. Please hit us up. A lot of cool emails coming in lately. That's another good place to give, viewer submissions, different videos, anything or topics or anything you guys want to talk about, or if you have questions for us. I've been answering just fun personal questions with people and just having a good time getting to know people. So it's awesome to get a good email thread going too. So anyways, hit us up on nasafraudcast@gmail.com. Hit us up on YouTube. Likes and subscribes would be much appreciated. Those are huge. And like our page on Facebook, and we'll be best friends forever. My name's Chris. This has been Space Erased. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you next week. Have a good night.